Hi, folks. I'm going to start story 6 tonight. And this will be the last random story. I think I'm going to go after this. I'm going to go start in order and start from birth on. But this story it was a big story in my life. It goes back in time, like a lot of my stories. This one is 1965. I don't know if that was the summer of love in California or it was the following summer, and I don't know what made me want to do it, but I had this tremendous yearning to hitchhike from Pennsylvania to San Francisco. And that was the goal. Now, getting to that goal was not easy, and this is the story about how it came apart, how it came down. First of all, in one of my other stories, I told you that 1965 was the summer after my freshman year in college, and I'd flunked out of college. I'd flunked out of Colgate. I came home from school. I was really angry. I'd worked very hard to try and stay in, but I failed. And I was facing, disappointment of me and my family, and my career in education had been checkered to begin with. I've never done well. That's another story. So I went to Muhlenberg College for about 6 weeks, I think maybe 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, for a summer school program, to start earning some credits back. I finished that, and it was terribly boring. It was horribly boring. I had just a few classes. I sat around and did almost nothing. The summer was almost over. It was probably the beginning of August. I was going to go back to school. I'd found a college that I was going to go to, and but I was bored and really didn't. I wanted to do something. And I decided I wanted to hitchhike to California. And back in those days, Route 81 hadn't been formed. It was 1965. I don't think there was a Route 81, I'm pretty sure. So it meant going down the turnpike from Wilkes Barre to Philly, and across the state to the Ohio Turnpike, then the Indiana Turnpike, and then Illinois, and going across the country. I don't know if there was even a Route 70 back then. I'm not sure, but we were going to go. I was going to go. And so I come home from Muhlenberg and I sit down with my mom and say, Mom, I want to hitchhike to California. And she didn't take it well. This was not in her plan of something that she wanted me to do. And we had a tremendous argument about it. And we went back and forth, and she kept telling me how horrible this was going to be for her. If I were to do this, she wouldn't be able to sleep, and the guilt was rising inside of me, and I was rethinking my whole deal. I didn't want to hurt my mom that way, but I wanted to go, and I'm pretty pig-headed and strong, whatever that is. I mean, when I get my dreams up, I want to fulfill them. And anyway, I wasn't doing well. I was capitulating. I was about to cave in, and she said a line that changed everything for me. She said, "And if you go, my blood will be on your conscience." And that freaked me out. It just flipped me right out. I mean, I had pretty much decided I wasn't going to go because I couldn't handle the guilt. And when she said that, something snapped in me. And I got up and I walked out of the house. And with the clothes on my back and the money in my pocket, I left. I went to my friend Tommy Miller. Tommy was my friend at the time. I said, Tommy, let's go to California. And Tommy was always, I'd say, yeah. So he said, okay, let's go. So Tommy grabbed some clothes. His mom, I don't know how she got the nerve to do this, but his mom drove us up to the turnpike, and we started hitchhiking. Now, in those days, white duck pants, like white blue jeans, but the same material as blue jeans, but pure white, were in fashion. I happened to be wearing those that day. With the shirt. I don't remember what the shirt was. And it was summertime, and I had nothing else. I didn't bring a jacket. I walked out of the house. So we were at the turnpike, and Tommy's got a chance to put some clothes together. He's got a little bag with some clothes in it, but he has no money. So between the two of us, I have $30 in no clothes. Tommy has clothes and no money, and we're heading out to California on our big adventure. Then we get a ride, and when I get really anxious, way back from my childhood, I get stomach cramps and diarrhea. Sure enough, between Wilkes Barre and Chicago, somewhere on one of those highways, and I remember it happened with the lady, it was a lady driver, I think she was even driving a fancy car like a Cadillac or something like that. She'd stop to pick us up, and all of a sudden I'd say, I hate to do, I feel horrible, but I've got cramps, I'm about to shit in my pants if I don't get, diarrhea. And she stops at a gas station, and I go in and I do my business, and I come back out, we start again, and the same thing happens, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes later. I've got the runs, and now I'm in deep trouble because, again, I feel terrible about making this lady whatever. So she stops probably twice. I don't think I got to the third time with her, and maybe whatever. I backstep. I left in like late afternoon, so we hitchhiked until it got dark, and then we slept on the side of the road. We didn't have sleeping bags, we didn't have towels, we didn't have anything. So I woke up in the morning, my white duck pants are dirt. They're dirty. Now I look like a dirty bum that's hitchhiking across the country. And no thing to change into. What we got is what we got. It was probably that second day when I got the diarrhea. I'm pretty sure it was. And we get close enough to Chicago, and somehow, I don't know, we figured out we take a train into the last part of it, not a long distance train, but just, subway. No, it was above ground, it was an L, into Chicago, and I go to the YMCA. Got to find a place to sleep. Tommy says, I have a friend here, I'm going to go stay with my friend while we're in Chicago, and I said, well, can I stay there too? I mean, we don't have any money. It's going to be really hard for me to stay at the YMCA. It was $2 a night. I remember the price was $2 a night. And he says, no, I'm afraid he only has room for me. And I say, okay, and I go to the YMCA. Now, I didn't tell you the part about, because I'm not real bright about running away from home or, leaving home. I'm not real bright about how to spend my money. So somehow I get in my mind that what I really need most for the rest of this trip is more underwear and a sleeping bag. So somehow I get maybe $10, $12, and I buy some underwear and a sleeping bag. It wasn't believe me, it was a sleeping bag, but it was like one of those cheap ones. It had some filling to it, but it wasn't like a thermal bag or a mummy bag or anything really, really cool. But now I got my, so I go stay at the YMCA, and again, I'm not real bright about living in YMCAs. I don't know much about it. I was a little bit, I'm more than a little bit scared. I was scared. They have, communal bathrooms for everybody. Everybody showers together. It's a men's facility. And I don't have a job. I don't have any way to make any money. So God must have led me, because I don't know if I led myself to the Department of Unemployment in Illinois, the Illinois State Department of Employment Department. And I get there, and they get me a job. They got me a job the same day I got there. I started work probably the next day or the day after, probably the next day. It was at Union Station in Chicago, which is the major train station terminal. And underground, they have a couple floors underground. I think I was working on the third or fourth floor underground. I'm not sure, because it's been a long time. But I was definitely working underground. And my job was to, when packages came off the train, they'd come off the train in a cart, a large cart. And my job was to take the packages out of the cart and put them in the cart for wherever they were destined to go. So in the cart, maybe things for Milwaukee or for Michigan or for India, wherever it was going, I had to figure out, put it in the cart. Well, I'm not that, I was in college. I figured out I could do that job. But what happened was I ran out of money. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money. I was spending $2 a day for my room, and I quickly figured out that I had enough money to spend maybe 2 more nights there. I had another $4 once I started work. So I couldn't afford any food. So I'm working physical labor and not eating. And I'm not good at not eating. I'm a regular eating kind of a guy. So I'm drinking water. There was a water fountain there, and that's it. And when I say that's it, that's it. I didn't eat anything for a complete days of work. And then the next day, I don't remember if I went 2 days, and then the third day I quit. But I think that's what it was. I worked 2 days, and then I quit. And while I'm working, I'm looking at, I'm meeting people and, talking to others. And I'm pretty, gregarious. And so I'm meeting people and talking to them. And I got friendliest with a black man that I was working with. And so I said to him, I said, I'm in a jam here. I wonder if you'd consider taking me home with you and let me stay with you for a while until payday. So you don't get paid for the first 2 weeks. So I had to make it like another 10 days before I was going to get paid. And so I said to this guy, listen, if you'll do that, I'll be glad to pay you rent and room and board once, because he's really the only guy I talked to enough to make this, to ask for this. And I don't know what happened, but he eventually turned me. He couldn't do it. Now, I don't know what reason it was. There could have been a bajillion reasons for this. Like he could have been living in a place where it might have been dangerous for me to even be at. I don't know what the situation was, but then I met another guy, and around the second day, the third day, maybe lunchtime of the third day, it's now the third day where I haven't eaten, and I'm working hard, and it's hot. It's August, and there's no air conditioning anywhere. It's August in Chicago. It's notoriously hot and humid there. And I said to the guy, can I borrow a quarter from you? See, a quarter in those days, you could buy a pack of crackers with peanut butter on, some pack of crackers maybe, and even maybe a drink, I'm not sure. But he said, no, my mom told me never to loan money to anybody. And that was really hard. And it's funny, because I felt closer to the black man than I did to this other man who was Anglo, or, who was Caucasian, and he told me his mom wouldn't let him loan money to anybody. I thought, well, that was really strange. But anyway, I knew I couldn't survive. The only way I could get paid was to quit the job. So I did. I quit the job. And because I quit the job, I was able to pick up a check the next day. If I didn't quit the job, I would have to wait the 10 days to get there. And now I didn't have any rent money left. I mean, it was probably my last night staying at the Y. Oh, and I didn't tell you one of the funny stories, because I don't know squat about squat. And one day in the daytime, I leave my room and I leave the windows open. Now, there were no screens on those windows. And I leave the light on by mistake. And I come home and it's dusk or dark. Well, that light attracted every bug in the city of Chicago. I came back to my bed. As I looked at the top of my bed, it was covered in bugs. Covered in bugs. Now, this is where I'm supposed to be sleeping. I'm not a big guy on sleeping with a lot of bugs. I can tell you that. That is not something that I want to do in my life. So what I did was, or maybe I had them on the sheet and maybe the blanket was, so in any case, maybe it was just a sheet on there and the blanket was folded up. I took the blanket, I threw it on the bed, and I rolled up and down the blanket, killing all the bugs, hopefully. Killing all the bugs that were on top of the blanket. Closed the window or did something, I'm not sure. But that was not hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious in retrospect, but at the time it was, this wasn't fun. I don't know how much fun this trip was. So then I see my friend Tommy, and I say, Tommy, this isn't working for me. I got to find a place to stay. And he says, okay, you can stay here tonight. This was probably before I got my check. And Tommy had gotten a job in a gas station pumping gas in those days when you could get a job pumping gas. So I went over to visit him. It was probably the third day. I still hadn't eaten. I wasn't working anymore. I think that's what the chronology was. And we're sitting in the, how they have a little little cubicle for the gas station attendant. It wasn't like a room or anything like that. So I'm kind of sitting outside. He's kind of sitting inside on this stool, and we're talking about our situation. And I haven't eaten in 2.5 days. And he's pumping gas, and the guy's got his window down because no cars had air conditioning at the time. This guy's hearing our story, and after we got done telling our story, I think I may have pumped the gas for the guy that time. When I collect his money, he gives me $1 tip. Well, oh my God, that was so incredible. We got $1. So I went to the grocery store. Now, this is God's honest truth. I went to the grocery store, and for that $1, I bought a loaf of bread, a package of cream cheese, maybe some jelly. I think might even gotten some jelly, and an orange drink, all for $1. Went back to the gas station, and man, I'm eating bread with cream cheese and jelly and an orange drink. Oh my God, it was like in heaven. When I finally did get my check, I took it out somewhere and got a steak. I don't know why, but I'm not a big steak eater now, but I bet back then I was. I actually had gotten a steak. Well, anyway, so that night I packed up I don't have any stuff to pack up. I got my sleeping bag, my extra underwear. That's all I'm packing up. I didn't buy any pants yet. I haven't bought any shirts yet. I don't know how I'm washing this stuff or not washing this stuff. I don't know what I look like. But it's now, we've been away from home now maybe 4 days. And I'm sleeping over at Tommy's house. There's only one bed there. I'm starting to have some sense that Tommy was always very effeminate. He dated women, but you kind of guessed that the women he dated were more like friends than anything else. And in the back of my mind, see, this is 1965. I mean, I don't want to confront Tommy and say, are you gay? Are you gay? What's going on? Well, we're sitting at the gas station, and I'm saying, Tommy, I don't know why you haven't been able to stay here, but I'd sleep on the floor. It's no big deal there. And Tommy says to me, well, my friend left for the week, whatever it was, the weekend or for the next couple of days, so that's why you're being allowed to come over and stay with me. But he says, I want to tell you something that I've never told you. He says that I'm gay. And he says, by the way, I've been in love with you for a long time. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm not homophobic at all, but this is like, way over the top. This is my, and he says, by the way, I'm not going on to California because I'm having a relationship with this guy and it's going well. And he was in a part of town called Old Town in Chicago, which was like the antique part of town. It's a place where a lot of gay people lived. It's like some parts of the village. And so we go back to his place. There's only one bed, and now I'm sleeping in the same bed with Tommy. And now I know he's gay. I know he's been in love with me at some point. I don't know what's going on. But I'm trying to sleep, and it's really difficult because shortly after we get in bed, Tommy rolls over and puts his leg over my body. And I'm going, no, this isn't going to work. I can't sleep. This isn't going to work. I'm not interested. I'm not in love with him. I'm not in love with men. I don't, but I don't want to embarrass. He's my friend for years. I don't want to embarrass him. Maybe he's asleep. And I'm going through this in my mind. Maybe he's asleep and he thinks he's still in bed with the guy that he's been in bed with. So I don't want to shake him up and scare him or whatever. At the same time, I don't want to be in this position, and I don't want to. And I'm going through all the scenarios, and I don't want to tell him I don't want to sleep with him because, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I mean, he's my friend, and we've been in some situations together. He's been my friend for a while, and been a very good friend. And in any case, I move his leg back, and then short time later, he puts his leg back over me again. Maybe he did that twice, maybe he did that third time, but whatever it was, the second or the third time, I said, I can't do this, and I got out of bed and slept on the floor, and now I'm embarrassed because I'm sleeping on the floor, and he's going to wake up and see that I can't sleep with him and be offended. I don't know why I'm worried about his feelings, and my feelings are through the roof in craziness. And I had never wanted to hitchhike to California by myself. I'm pretty sure I realized that right away. And lo and behold, my mother, because Tommy's talking to his mother, Tommy's in contact with his mother. My mother talks to his mother and gets the phone number where we are and calls me and begs me to come home. And she does it at a time where I'm making the decision, do I go on to California by myself or what do I do? And she begs me to come home, and it's the right time for her to beg me because this 5 days has been 5 days that's been really intense and dramatic, and I'm overwhelmed. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. I'm physically, I'm starving for a while. I'm, going home to straight some, solid food and having a bed without bugs in it, and all these different things start to look very good. So at the end of about the 5th day, I think it was probably the 5th day, I take a bus home. And the story had a kind of a nice ending to it. It was still too early to go back to college. I still had some free time, but at home I had a car available to me, my sister's car, or whatever it may be. I inherited her car. And so I went up to Cape Cod to, I forgot the name of the town now. Chelsea? Not Chelsea. But it's on the elbow of the Cape, Chatham. And I stayed in Chatham for a while and had some more adventures up there. But I just wanted to tell you that story. I have had a goofy life. I've had a goofy life. Lots of strange things have happened to me. And the next time I I'm going to start this story from the beginning because outcomes, all these outcomes that you've heard in the first 5 or 6 stories have come about because of my early childhood development. So maybe if I tell you some more about the early childhood development, and they're fun. They're not funny stories. They're kind of like semi-humorous, semi-tragic, semi-dramatic, all dramatic or melodramatic. The theme for all these stories is going to be transcendence. So because I've survived all the life events that I've had and built a life for myself now, I'd always said when I was 72, I wanted to be able to look back at my life and say, I really did it as much as I wanted to do, and I didn't let things stop me. And I'm 71, so I've only got a little bit of time left until I'm 72. Hopefully I got some more years left, but that I can look back and say, I feel like I'm happy more than 50% of the time. I'm very satisfied with my lot in life. I'm very satisfied. Well, that's success right there, to be satisfied and grateful. And so I want to share that with you and hope that I can help you transcend some of your stuff. Maybe by sharing my story, you'll be able to transcend your story. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.